awesome Saturday and welcome to Off the Piece, a show that comes your way every Saturday. That's at 9:30. Apologies for starting the show late. I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, and I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by one Amorapson and Augustine. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God, and massive congratulations to the netball team, the Copper Queens, for clinching that championship. I think it was very, very huge for the country, looking at where we are at in terms of netball. Yeah. And this is our first title, and Beauty Nakazo was instrumental.
Well, it's a very, very lovely Saturday morning. Of course, despite the heat, we've endured quite a bit of some heat in the course of the week, and we are only hoping that the heavens can open so that we have a bit of some rain. But otherwise, it's a very, very good Saturday morning, and we hope that all our viewers will enjoy the show. And to the ladies that won the netball championship, we say congratulations, and you are making us very, very proud. And I think as a Zambian, I think I throw everything to the men's team, because we can't be talking about 2012 when the ladies made us proud to go to the World Cup in 2023. Mm-hmm. Here we are again in the same year. We've got we are the African champions when it comes to netball. So we hope that the girls next year and the men will also make us proud in the world of football.
Do you feel like these associations that handle these other games or sports,
minor sports, so-called minor sports,
are they doing enough? Because if you notice, it was all over social media, but the way they were welcomed, and it wasn't spoken of too much.
Well, mainly it's because of the nature of the game and the type of following that it upholds. But clearly, with the little resources, when you look at the way resources are even allocated to these sports, you find that netball gets maybe less than 1% of what the budget is, and everything else. So you find that everything else is thrown to the football fraternity, and small sports like chess, netball, those that bring us pride, we never really pay attention to them. And I was very glad when I think there was a statement from the ministry that they will try and equalize all the sports disciplines so that they are able to push up their game up. And I'm only hoping that we take that particular direction so that we recognize people in the efforts that they are doing. Imagine with the meager resources that they have, flying, if you read about them, is always a challenge. Leaving, they will leave it very late, 2 days before leaving. That's when they'll be saying, we need so much money to go and participate in this particular tournament.
Well wishes.
Yeah, and I think that should be a thing of the past, because when it comes to the glory that they are bringing, everybody else, including those that didn't dip down in their pockets to help the team, are able to stand up and clap for them and say, welcome, thank you so much for the trophy. So I think it's high time we tried to equalize how these sports disciplines can be supported.
Anyway, so congratulations to the national team. That's the netball national team for carrying the day and being joy in the country. For now, we'll just take a very short break as we get back and take a look at how we managed to Palangashete Angola to and qualify for the AFCON.
My name is Christopher Adom. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV.
Get only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those that have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Akora kansheko alakula chancha mukero kula chekerera ucho mwana nanyi nanga nyaba butuka uwinge wa munanga tikasambe nani ingata mwishibe peke nitwipushe bana fia sasa ushe umwana nanyi na ingana ba butuka uwinge wa munanga tikasambe nani mwe ipisha ina Sheni abo mwikere nabo.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
I'm Given Singuruma. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV every Saturday.
An amazing display that we saw, that's the Copa Queens managing to beat Angola, that's by 6 goals to nil, and taking it 12 goals to nil, that's on aggregate. And one thing that I noticed, Augustine, Coach Bruce Mape went with a strong starting 11 regardless of the 6-goal lead that we had.
Yeah, I think when we had the program before the game, we talked about probably we will see a couple of changes being made. But again, you should realize that it was a big occasion for the Copa Queens. The first time they were playing at Levi Monasa Stadium in front of the Copa Belt fans, they wouldn't have loved to see a second string Copa Queen. So I think Bruce Mape was right to try and go with a team that was going to build confidence going into the WAFCON. And we saw that there are a lot of positives that we can pick from the game against Angola, the 2 legs. When we were at the World Cup, our biggest problem was controlling games. We usually used to play a lot of long balls by passing the midfield. But in the game that we played against Angola, I think it was more of we had a lot of control, and yes, we want to play that ball in behind to try and stretch the opposition's defense, but this time around we were doing it in a different way. We could have Pauline Zulu at the heart of defense. She's very, very confident to come out with the ball in defense. Play Susan Banda, who was very, very good in terms of picking up those passes into the channels, and we exposed the Angolans. It was, I think, an all-round very, very good performance. Our front 3 or front 2, they are starting to link. They are playing beautiful 1-2 passes, and you could see now we are involving a lot of Irene Zulu and the young Ivan Susan Katongo into the game, and it gives us a lot of confidence going into the WAFCON. We were not going to have any challenge against Angola. Even if we would have played Team B in both games, we would have still qualified. But what that gives us, I think even the Angola coach was clear to say we are 10 years behind Zambia in terms of development when it comes to women's football. And you can see that on the field of play. Physically, they are not up there. You could see that technically, yes, they do have a couple of players that look good technically, but they need some polishing up. And I think credit must be given to Bruce Mape. He has qualified the team to the WAFCON 2 times in a row. I think this is the first time in the history of women's football. We need to give the man some credit, and we've done that without conceding any goal. We are going back to the biggest table where we have to dine, and we have to show that we are class.
Angorapson.
Well, great performance from the girls, and I think for me the job was done in Angola. And when you look at how we even started, one thing that I've loved that is giving me a lot of confidence even as we head to the WAFCON is the way our girls are able to start knocking the ball from behind. Very, very confident in the back that we have, and I think Pauline, to be honest, did a very, very good job. She showed no level of desperation, no pressure at all. She could start, and you could see how Susan was tracking back from midfield to come and get the ball and turn back and try and switch play. Susan Katongo, if you see how the work rate of Barbara Banda, And of course, Kundaranji, you could see that the level is a little bit different from the Angolans. That is one side that if it was a training session and I was Bruce, I would actually withdraw 2 players and play 9 against 11 because we really had no pressure at the back. No pressure at all. The first half, they had no shot on target. And then you look at our build-up, I think everything else was pointing to different levels, as alluded to by the Angolan coach, that they're 10 years behind Zambia, because you could tell how they were building up. One thing also that I've loved in this particular second leg fixture that we played at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium is the way the recovery rate when you lose the ball. You could tell that when we lose the ball, they would mount pressure and get the ball back within a couple of seconds, which is very, very good when it comes to teams that are very technically and tactically good at the WAFCON. If you don't have that natural ability of fighting for the ball when you lose it, you'll be punished when you find a team that is technically very, very good. And I think in that particular area, Coach Bruce Mwambe is doing a very, very fantastic job there.
Before we look at how maybe we expect them to perform at the same WAFCON, that's next year, let's look at how competition is going to be, because there are some names that are missing. Some maybe are having training somewhere, but let's look at the competition that's there now, have a number, because we never expected, is it smaller Mapepa? To miss out.
We have read those players, they are not in the squad,
not
they
in
are
the
coming.
squad, and they are coming. How is it going to be, how easy is it going to be for them to reclaim their positions?
I think it's not going to be easy. You could see that Bruce Mwambe now has got a very, very nice headache that every coach would love to have with the talent that he has at his disposal. You could see in the back line, look at the team that played at the WAFCON. We had Margaret Pulemu, right-sided fullback, Martha Tembo, Agnes Musesa, and Shomo Mwemba. In the game that we beat Angola, we had Esther Banda, a young Esther Banda who usually used to play as a central midfielder at Busa, but now being converted into a right back at GBFC, and you could see she was paired with Pauline Zulu, another player who is growing into being a top player. I think physically, Pauline, she's very, very good in the air, very strong on the ground, and she backs herself to defend in 1v1 situations. So you could see that there a lot in the game when we played in Angola. We started with Esther Siamfuku at right back. Then we started with Priska Chilufya in the flanks, but the home game was Esther Banda and Rachel Natural, and they didn't do that bad. Esther even got herself a goal for the national team. So now you could see that going forward, we didn't have Grace Chanda. Grace Chanda will be back in that team. Ochumba Osege will be back in that team. Margaret Delemu, Mary Widow, Simona Mapepa, yeah. So you could see that we have got a lot of strength and depth now. What the coach needs to do is just to try to create that healthy competition in the team. And one player who usually stands out whenever she's given an opportunity is Averchton. You could see
wow, that girl is a marvel, as tiny as she is.
Yeah, she's very intelligent. The way she picks up positions in the field of play, and you could see, I think she was a darling of the crowd. She was playing in front of her home people in Dola. I think there are a lot of positives. You have got young Frida Kawe, who did very well at the Kosafa. There are a lot of young players that are knocking on that door. We had 2 players who we had at the WAFCON, but they have struggled with injuries in Maweta Chilenga at Green Buffaloes and the young Natasha Nanyangwe. So you could see that there's a lot of positivity going forward, and this team will really be a force in terms of women's football in Africa.
Well, the only thing, maybe Augustine, when it comes to the squad, I don't know how best we can fix the problem. Lushomo was quite good. She was a makeshift left back. She tried, but I think if we could find a natural left-footed defender, that would be nice in that space. I saw her struggle sometimes when she was put under some pressure on the left side of the pitch. You could naturally tell that she always wants to bring the ball back on her right before she can pass it. So I think in that field we need to try and see if we can get a natural left back to fill in that particular position. But suffice to say, her performance was fantastic on the day. She could pass the ball. She rarely kicked the balls above the center. The central midfield. She was always looking for somebody to pass the ball to, which is very, very good, because I think for once, I think we were in total control of the match, and the long balls were not there. I could hardly see even the goalkeeper, Kathleen. before she was taken off, you could see that she was not a goalkeeper who wanted to shoot balls above the center half. She was always starting the ball from the back, knocking it behind, and they would build up from there. Talking about the average tone, when she came on at halftime, I was so happy, and coincidentally, there's my daughter in Dora called Mwansa, so she quickly called. She was watching that particular game and said, "Daddy, this short girl is playing very, very good football." I'm like, "Which one?" And this one with half dreads in the head. So I laughed. I said, "Oh, that's average tone. She's a very, very good player." And you could tell that even the goal that she scored, it was out of building confidence in herself. She fought her way in getting
that's the positioning itself.
The positioning was fantastic. The player movement was good. But I think naturally, this is a very, very good headache for Coach Bruce Mwape, because every player that we are talking about here is a player that deserves to wear that national team, except we are limited by the number of 11 at the time.
And the biggest problem is in the goalkeeping department. You've got Ngombo Musole, GBFC.
4 of them. 4 good ones.
Tisha Lungu, Zesco United #1. Then they've got Catherine, who is away in Europe. Then you've got Hezonari, who is just recovering from injury. And unfortunately, one of them will have to drop out.
3 of them need to go.
Only 3 will go to the WAFCON, and it will be a big blow for the girls. But you could see that there's a health competition in that department. And now we have seen that it's spreading all over the pitch. We always struggled with centre backs. You remember when Lushomo Mwemba was out injured, we were sweating who is going to cover Lushomo Mwemba. But now we've got Agnes Musesa, who is sitting in the wings and waiting to get her position back. We've got vast period, Zesco United, another very, very good young centre back. So you could see that the Copper Queens are just really heading in the right direction. And what we need to do is we just need to help up our league, let our league grow to the level whereby even you and me, instead of going to watching Ghana Buffalo, we'll be going to Sunset Stadium. Sunset Stadium this afternoon, there's a big one. Lusaka Dynamos is hosting GBFC, 18 hours. That's a big one.
And that's why I was heading to Angorapson, and it's a good thing that broadcasting has already started. Looking at all the success that the Copper Queens have had, is indeed high time that now we start investing more in the women's league.
Well, you will notice that sponsorship is quite very, very scanty, very, very, very scanty, and it's not an easy thing to do, because there are long distances, long distances that are covering. When you look at the girls, the other week, I had the privilege of talking to 2 girls that play for National Assembly, and they were telling me that they will be traveling to Chipata to go and play at DK Stadium. They went there, of course, they got the result. They beat the Chipata girls by about 6 goals to 0, I think. And when it comes to sponsorship, you notice that even Lusaka Dynamos, the elite ladies, they're being sponsored by an individual.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at what they are doing and how they are looking, they are properly dressed.
Well organized, yeah.
Properly dressed team, well organized. They use NASDAQ as their home ground. Talking of sponsorship, I'm only hoping that, it's the component of how you market your club. It's not up to organizations to stand up and say, we want to sponsor this team. It's how you craft your proposal to the sponsors and how they will sit down and look at it and say, this is worth sponsoring, this is worth being attached to. It's very, very critical in that space, actually. So these particular teams, including the Super League teams, the football, the Zambian Super League teams, it's high time we invested in proper marketing techniques that will bring the levels of football high and the levels of sponsorship to a very, very high level. Imagine we are talking about sponsoring teams. Let's look at how many cups that we have in the country. We only have 1 at the moment. The other one is a donation, where you the so-called Zamo Zumu Jobu. I mean, that's a charity shield. The only cup that comes with a lot of money, a lot of value, is ABSA. So when you look at sponsorship in that space, it's shrunk enough. It's the same thing that is applying to the team sponsored by the Mines on the Copa Bill. They're struggling. So it's all about thinking outside the box and looking at the bigger picture of how marketing should be done. And the clubs have that responsibility to speak into that space.
Maybe, what if we look at the whole league? Like, we are looking at maybe the men's league. It's being sponsored by MTN, if I'm not mistaken. And when we look at now the whole women's league,
hasn't Betway joined us?
yeah, so which is now I'm looking at the whole women's league being sponsored for. Is that the job of FAS to find a sponsor for it?
Yes. When you look at that level of sponsorship, it's far. Okay, not even FAS now. Who's now? They've separated the two, so I don't know whether it's the...
Yeah, but the women's league still remains...
Yes.
I feel like they need to do...
It's poor in terms of what we've put in the women's league. At the start of last season, when the league kick-started, they didn't know what prize money they were playing for. Up until the end of the tournament, won the league. That's when we were told that they were going to be given 100,000, which is not enough, like Mr. Skombe said. Assembly were traveling.
It's transport money. That's transport for half the season.
I think it's a big problem if you look at. I think that's where teams like GBFC, this is the reason why they're dominating, because at least they have got that financial capacity to challenge. And you could see in terms of publicity, I think that's where we are very, very poor when it comes to women's football. A good example is that instead of us talking about Barbara Banda being nominated as one of the best African footballers in the region, in Africa, no one is talking about that. You could go all over the media, no one is talking about that. But I think this is something which has to be talked about, and it has to be hyped. Barbara Banda has to get this award. She's been nominated alongside Tembe Katlani of South Africa and Asad Oshawala of Nigeria. If you could just see the hype Tembe Katlani is getting from South Africa, probably she will win this award. And the fact that the head of CAF is South African, I think I've got no kind of...
Why Augustine?
Let's just be realistic.
We've seen Mosepe is just doing exactly what every person can do.
Ever since Mosepe took over, have you seen the improvement in South African teams, clubs, women's team, decisions that are very, very bad?
That go for them.
We could see that the WAFCON.
Semi-finals,
Zambia versus
South
Africa. I will never forgive that officially. That was very
poor.
Very, very poor at the highest level. You could see that
it was well organized.
Mamelodi Sundowns, this team, they're getting a push.
At the continental level, he's doing very fine.
They are giving them a push. So you could see that even Tembe Katlani, believe you me,
and a lot of people got shocked when she was nominated.
Tembe wasn't supposed to be among the three.
The question that I would want to ask is, other than the performance at the World Cup, what else has Tembe done?
Kundananji was this second top scorer in Spain, behind Hermoso. So you could see that Kundananji was doing very well in a league where she's not playing at a very, very big team in Madrid. But what she did there, I think, was massive. Kundananji could have gotten that recognition other than Tembe Katlani. I'm not trying to be biased because I'm Zambian, but the fact is that Tembe Katlani just performed at the World Cup. What did Tembe Katlani do? Nothing. Asad Oshawala was struggling with injury the entire time. What is Asad Oshawala doing on that list? Yes, Asad, I think her performance at Barcelona, leading them to that UEFA Champions League title, I think that was huge. But Tembe Katlani, what is Tembe Katlani doing?
Away from that, we just wish the ladies or maybe the Copa Queens all the best next in their preparations, and hope Coach Bruce Mappe will be able to make us proud in the selection. That's the final selection that we are going to see. But right about now, Angorapton, I think we had the mini discussion with Augustine concerning how Patson Daka has been faring, and we've seen his being absent and not being called. At times we even see him out of the team.
Actually, you know, it's a decision of the manager. The manager has already made a decision that Patson has to move in the January transfer window. He's made it very, very clear, and I think it's out of respect that he should not waste his time anymore. It was good they had a discussion and he has to move on. But I think the work that Patson is putting behind the scenes is very, very fantastic. We saw how he came and performed for the national team at that level, and I think he will not struggle to find a club in January. And we are only hoping that the biggest challenge is his wages. It's a threat to a lot of clubs. When you look at a lot of clubs want to get his services, and I think one club that I got wind of was actually Rangers, and the wage bill put them off. So there are two things that he needs to do. Either you get a pay cut and accept to go and play, or you find a club that will manage to get you to that level. But probably even the Italians, there are a couple of clubs that are sniffing for him from Italy, and we're only hoping that in the January transfer window we would pick up and move on, because it's not actually good for a player who's going to the Africa Cup to be clubless for over a month. I call it clubless because he's not playing any games. The whole lot of December he will not be playing any games, and he's just training there. And in January, week 2, week 3, we'll be at the Africa Cup, and we need him to be at his best to represent the country.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I just can't wait for December, Christmas time to come around so that Patson Daka can leave that club, which has, I feel, Enzo Maresca hasn't respected Patson Daka ever since he went into Leicester. Yes, I think it was clear when he took over that job that probably Patson Daka wasn't the kind of striker in his mind. He probably wasn't in his plans. But I think what frustrated me the most is that when yesterday he was being asked about Patson Daka and Harry Winks, I think his response was that Kelechi Iheanacho and Jimmy Vardy, the ones who are ahead of Patson Daka, are doing better. That's the reason why Patson Daka hasn't been playing. The fact of the matter is that he's just not being given a fair chance compared to the other guys. I think if you look at numbers, Kelechi Iheanacho, since August, the start of the season, he has played 28 games and has scored 7 goals. Jimmy, for both club and country. Jimmy Vardy is not playing for country, so he's playing for club. He's played 19 games this season and he's scored 6 goals. Patson Daka, he's played for club and country since August. He's played 6 games and he scored 5 goals. So those 6 games that he played, 2 were at Leicester, 1 against Liverpool in a game which they were being battered at Anfield. There was no way Patson Daka was going to change the direction of that encounter. I think Mr. Skonde, we watched that game. And in the game against Sunderland, the league game that he has only played this season, he was given 3 minutes. What was Patson Daka going to do in 3 minutes? So you could see that these other guys are being given a fair chance, but Patson Daka is not being given that chance. I think this boy deserves a little bit of respect from this manager who thinks he's a genius because he was an assistant Pep Guardiola. I think that's the biggest problem with Enzo Maresca. You look at what Patson Daka has did during his time at Leicester City. He's their all-time leading scorer in European competitions. He's the first ever player in the history of the football club to score 4 goals in a game. Later on, to score 4 goals in a Champions League, in a Europa League game. The only Zambian to score a hat-trick at UEFA level. So you could see, I think he's a guy who has proved himself in terms of goal scoring in front of goal. He's just been made a scapegoat at Leicester City. Let's just be honest. They had the dreadful run last season. That's why they got relegated. There were a lot of poor players in that team. Kelechi Iheanacho in that run scored about 1 goal. Jimmy Vardy scored about 3 goals. Patson Daka scored 2 goals. Why is it that it's always the blame on the young Patson Daka? I think that's the biggest problem that I have with Leicester City. He hasn't been respected much enough. This is a guy that was top scorer under 17. African footballer of the year, African young footballer of the year. I think when another club comes, I think Patson Daka will have to leave Leicester City. But it's always difficult in January to get a permanent move. Probably a loan deal will do for Patson Daka up until the rest of the season, and then he can move on from there. What you get from Patson Daka is that he's always humble, he's always hardworking. And Enzo Maresca, to be fair, he mentioned it in the press briefing to say that he's a humble guy. He will always work hard. But the fact that he hasn't been given the fair chance compared to the other guys, I think it has to change going forward. But I think, again, if you look at it from the Zambian side of things, it's probably a blessing in disguise because he's not going to get injured. He's not playing for Leicester City. We need a fully fit Patson Daka to come at the Africa Cup of Nations. He's going to lead the line for us and he's going to shine, and Patson Daka will get a proof.
Let's look at it in this aspect. What if he fails to perform at AFCON?
I think failure is not part of it.
Yeah, if you look at
the way he works,
if you look at the way we are set up as a team here, we play basically to his strength. We have got quick players around him, Fashion Sakala and Lamek Banda, probably Luambo Msonda, and him Patson Daka is quick, so we'll have to play him behind, stretching the defenses, and Patson Daka thrives on that. He plays on the last defender's shoulders, and he's got that sniffer's instincts. He knows where the ball will drop. I think what probably will just be on the downside going into the WAFCON is that his sharpness in front of goal, because he hasn't been playing a lot of games. But I believe we are going to have a couple of friendlies before we kickstart the Africa Cup of Nations to try and get him back to his sharpness. I do not think Patson Daka will go at the Africa Cup and fail. If Patson Daka goes to the Africa Cup and fail, meaning the entire team, Zambia, will go to the Africa Cup and fail, because he's our talisman. Yeah, I think he reads the line very, very well. He works very hard. He tracks back when we lose possession, and I do believe this guy is going to go to a place where he's going to be loved. And when Patson Daka is loved, you will see what he did in South Bay. I think he's been through this phase in his life when he was at Power Dynamos, heavy criticism, but he just kept on moving. He doesn't complain. He always knuckles down and gets the job done.
And all the best one Patson Daka as he works at the preparations for next year's AFCON, and hopefully we'll have him home and able to perform and prove some people wrong. But then let's look at our local league. We've got a game that is at 13 hours, and that's Nkwazi hosting Napsa Stars, brother against brother. I think this one I'll throw it to you, perhaps.
Very tough one, very tough one. The two brothers.
Be careful with your prediction.
Let's pick a call first. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Keep calling from Kafiwe.
Oh, okay. You can go ahead with your contribution.
The thing that you're talking about, Patson Daka.
Yes.
Don't you think, looking at just the Zambian setup, especially when you talk of the Zambian national team, the combination that he had with the midfielder, it's like it really affected him. They are in a situation where they understood each other very well. So when he moved to Leicester, somehow things begin to work out with him because of the midfield, the way he was receiving the ball.
Yeah.
I want you to comment on that one.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think
it's one thing that,
very good point.
But it's one thing that excited a lot of people when he went to Leicester City, looking at how James Maddison plays.
That's the only positive that you could take from his time at Leicester. I think the combination he had with James Maddison was the only combination we saw at Leicester City. He was the only one who knew how to find Patson Daka, and at times they linked up well with Kalechi Iheanacho. You could remember the 4 goals he scored in Moscow in that Europa League. I think 2 were created by Kalechi Iheanacho. Keenan Dewsbury in central midfield, I feel he doesn't understand the movement of Patson Daka. Harvey Barnes likewise, he's moved now to Newcastle. I think there's some misunderstanding in terms of the pairing, and I think the caller is right. In Austria, Minok Mwepu and Patson Daka created that very, very good understanding. You could see even at national level. When you take time to understand Patson Daka, even now Emmanuel Banda, Prince Kangwa, they're finding a way of how to unleash Patson Daka in a game.
Yeah, because one other thing, of course, that we should look out for is, if you look at how the two, Enoch Mwepu and Patson Daka, where they are coming from, those have been together for quite a long time in the development of their careers, and I think the coordination and the gelling was something that cannot go unnoticed by any of the coaches, and his time, of course. But again, on the other hand, these are professional players. Yes, there's a change. Players have moved on. There's a caller in the line.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
You are through to off.
I'm enjoying the program.
Thank you.
Yes. I think just a comment on Patson Daka. I read what that coach said. He's saying he trains very well. There are 2 players that he was talking about.
Yes.
That they train very well, but they have no game time because of, like on Patson Daka, I mentioned that and that Nigerian player. But then, if they are good players, why not rotate?
Yes.
So that's how you give them time to everyone. Because if everyone is playing well, you give them time so that they're able to prove themselves. But the way he has handled the issue of Daka and the other player, I think he has been treated unfair. And when he comes for the national team, he scores. He has scored every time he scores. You go to Nigeria, that gentleman was struggling.
He has scored one goal.
They drew and they never scored a goal.
Yes.
So Patson Daka has been treated unfairly, and the best for him is to move to another club in January. Because that coach, I think, as to Zambian soccer fans and the soccer lovers, we are not happy about that.
Thank you.
Then the other comment I think I need to make, I think just on the national team, I would like to look at the defenders. I don't think when you look at our defense, Frank Muson, I think, should pair with the Kylian Kangruma, that one as the defender. If you have watched the Zambian league, that player is very good.
Yeah.
If they can pair as the central defender there, we will see that our defense will be solid. Then we need Roderick coming out from that number. We need to bring in, I think, even Chiruya. Chiruya can do better because Chiruya has been tested at the under 20. So we can bring Chiruya there. We move Roderick coming. We have challenges in, I think, what in midfielder.
Yes.
We need to bring in Miguel Chaiwa. I've been watching Miguel Chaiwa, Champions League. He's the only Zambian player playing Champions League. And then when we tell everyone Grant that give this gentleman a chance, he tells us, no, I think he needs to be consistent at the club. I think that is also unjustifiable. Because if a player is able to play Champions League, he deserves a chance in the national team. Especially that we are lacking a holding midfielder. I think you let me give chance to others to contribute. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That's a good contribution.
You know,
That's going to react to one.
Yes,
you know, it's a situation where the man is talking and you are enjoying every word that is being
Because he's on point.
He watches
If I,
He's on
if, I,
point.
if I talk about Roderick, you guys laugh at me. But
he watches Zambian football.
he really does. And Kylian Kangruma from Cabo
He made it so hard for the Daros.
Big performance. That was the best performance you ever see from a central defender.
And for me, really, he's upped his game under Coach Tumbaumamba, and I think the freedom that is being given to protect his goalkeeper is very, very good. And to be honest, these are the players that need to be given a chance to fight for those particular positions.
He was all over the pitch.
Yeah, and I think for me, the other comment that the caller has made, which is quite exciting, is on player selection. He brought in an issue of Miguel Chaiwa, and the response of the coach was basically talking about Miguel not having game time at the club. But this is the same coach who's using this one as a goalkeeper who doesn't see game time at the club.
Yeah.
So when it comes to consistency in the statements that we utter, I think we need to be a little bit more fair and more accurate in what you want to talk about. You would rather give another excuse rather than saying consistency of the player.
How many games has Portugal played in Iraq?
No, and the perfect example is the same Patson Daka we are talking about.
I think he said Patson Daka is proven at national level. That was his response. So I think with regards to Miguel Chaiwa, he says he needs to be playing a lot of league games. Yes, he's playing in the Champions League, but he's not playing a lot of league games. But you could see that this is a boy that he's going to be the future. He's going to provide us with that much needed spine of the team, the backbone. In the years going forward, he's very, very good on the ball. He's very, very calm, and he works very hard. He needs to get a chance at a national level. Yes, he's talked about Prosper Chibu. I think he looks very better for Zanaco. He's getting a lot of game time. He's fit now. He has struggled with injury. I think another name would probably be John Chishimba, the left-sided of defense. John Chishimba has been doing very well for this United, but
I watched one centre back that you need to look out for. I'm not sure if that guy is Zambian. I saw the Zambian. He plays for Prison Leopards. His name is Kembo. That defender, I watched that defender against Napsa Stars at Woodland Stadium. He's a marvel to watch. He won every tackle that he threw. Not winning a tackle by kicking the ball outside. Winning the ball and standing up and passing the ball, playing, knocking it. He did that a couple of moments in that match, and I was so impressed.
Yeah.
So those are some of the defenders that the caller who watches the local league will be able to bear with us to say Kylian Kangruma is one of the contestants that should be given a chance. Kembo, probably if he's Zambian, I'm not sure about the consistency of the performance, but in that particular match against Napsa Stars, I think he was very, very outstanding, if you ask me. And these are the players that need to be given a chance. When you talk about Miguel,
former disconnected.
He's Zambian.
Yeah, he's Zambian. He was a beauty con, moved to ZSP, didn't work out. I think he's moved to.
When you're speaking to him,
yeah,
I tried to interview him, having a conversation. Just said, let's leave it here.
And it's a shame that the previous caller didn't give us his name.
Yeah,
true. I think he's got very, very good points about central midfield. We struggled in the game in the two
and
games.
one thing,
he's back. He played against FC Muza in Mazapuka. And when he was talking about Patson Daga, yes, it's very much unfair. He hasn't been given a fair chance. Harry Winks, the other player, the coach was talking about Harry Winks. Harry Winks had a very bad injury. He was loaned out at Tottenham to Sampdoria. He had a very, very bad injury. And this is when he's just getting back to full fitness. That's the reason he's not playing Harry Winks. Not because the players in front of Harry Winks are better, but when it comes to Patson Daka, it's an issue. The coach does not like Patson Daka, period.
And we won't run away from the Kwazi Naps again.
Well, very, very difficult encounter, very, very tough encounter. Mouth or time encounter.
Kwazi.
Well, it's in from Nkwazi, yeah. Of course, Nkwazi has been very, very consistent on the road, and they play this particular game at their home ground. They have got an early kickoff there against Napsa Stars. Napsa Stars very, very inconsistent. If you ask me this season, I had a very, very good conversation with Perry prior to the Prison Leopards game, and there's a call on the line.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, yes. Hello. Yeah, try to reduce the volume on your TV set. Oh, okay. Atwana nishina. Okay, kutimwa landa po.
Tiwa karatia nani?
Okay. Twara mieba. Okay,
Tuatasha sana. The ladies will be playing. I'm sure there is just a couple of friendlies before the
Olympic qualifiers.
Yeah, so the dates will be confirmed in due course, and I think we were talking about Napsa Stars and Kwazi.
Yeah.
Kwazi, for me, it's one team that was never ever anyone's mind to be where they are now, and the consistency of Coach Oswald Mtapa and his young lads is very, very interesting. He's managed to gel the experience and the young talent together, and you can see how even Joseph Sabobo Banda, the way he's been playing, there's some serious competition there. Emmanuel Chabola doesn't even see game time. He sits on the bench, and the team is bringing the results that they need. But the tactical approach of a game that I know Perry Mtapa employs when it comes to such games, it will be a very, very difficult encounter against Nkwazi Football Club, and I know Perry wouldn't want to lose that game because he's just from beating Prison Leopards by a long goal to 0, and you know how Prison Leopards have been playing. They've been very, very good of late, and they came to Woodland Stadium and walked away with the empty hands, and they had a long drive back to Kawe, and Napsa Stars makes a very short trip to Edwin Imbola Stadium today, and the lack of scoring goals at Napsa Stars is what is worrying.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see tactically Perry go with Daniel Adoko in central midfield to try and bring that physical side of the game, to try and intimidate the young Nkwazi central midfielders. I think Stephen Mutama has been brilliant for Nkwazi. If they can try and stop Stephen Mutama and the young Bernard Kumwenda, I think they can stop Nkwazi.
Even Simon has been very good. Simon has been very good, and he's going to have it very, very difficult in the centre back of Luka Banda and Ojambo. And I know Simon has been a menace to the defenders, and what he does is, this Nkwazi side, it's very, very interesting. If you see them play soccer, Simon will do all the running around. The young lads, the midfielders, are the ones who are scoring more goals. That is where the biggest positive is when it comes to Nkwazi Football Club. And for me, in that particular match, I know Coach Oswald and are my good friends and very, very difficult.
And I do it to you.
They should just share the spoils. I think a point each would be fair. A point each would be fair. But if I was to be very, very objective, I don't see NAPSA Stars carrying the day this afternoon. Boys Football Club who made victorious because of the consistency that they've shown. I think they went to a very, very difficult hunting ground in Mufrila. They managed to come back with a point there.
Augustin, Green Buffalo is hosting FC Musa.
Yeah, I think before I go to this game, there's something that has been changing in Kitwe. That yellow pass, it has made a lot of noise.
The one which is at the bottom. I don't know for how long it will be at the bottom.
And I think now my thinking is that what goes in the heads of football administrators, let's just be honest, that's worth 2 million, is it?
Yes.
2 million kwacha they spent on a bus. Arthur Davis Stadium is not fit to host CAF games. How do you go and spend on a bus instead investing in the stadium? I think these are big questions that I would love to answer.
But I can answer for them. There was an embarrassing moment when they were traveling for a game. That yellow big bus of theirs couldn't reach the stadium. They had to call for a roster to come and ferry the team. Not too long ago. So transport is equally important.
What's the difference with this one? It can have a mechanical fault.
Once they
invest in infrastructure, Power Dynamos will not have to worry about playing CAF games at Lev Mwanza Stadium. They'll bring them at their own backyard. They have to try and meet CAF standards. I think it's a joke. Why are we investing in this bus when our stadiums are poor? So meaning these clubs do have the money. They do have the money, but
there are some clubs, Augustin, that don't even have a stadium.
Yes, I know. There are clubs.
So Power has a stadium, and now they have a bus.
A stadium
so they don't want to renovate the stadium because
that's the next project Power Dynamos has.
It should have been the first one.
No. Transport is important. They play football.
Transport is important.
They play football every week.
It should have been the first one. And they play at Davis Stadium 18 weeks in a year.
So what transport did you want them to be using?
The same yellow bus which
to reach them the stadium.
But it does work. The fact
no. It failed to. It stopped at the top.
It was once.
Yes.
But it does work. The fact that it does work. But infrastructure-wise is that our Dynamos have a disadvantage when they are playing CAF games at Lev Mwanza Stadium. Imagine if that game against Simba was at Arthur Davis Stadium, a packed Arthur Davis Stadium. The fans are close to the stadium. Probably Power Dynamos could have qualified and got them a lot of money to even invest in that bus. But that's a story for another day. We go to the game.
These are haters for good transport.
We go to the game for
it's a very good bus. Very good bus.
FC Musa.
It's replacing
FC Musa with our Rosa bus. They've been doing wonders. It has been taking them places.
Yeah, but they have no stadium of their own.
Yes, they are building one.
At least they haven't bought a big bus. They're investing.
And the bus was smashed.
Yes. Going into the game against GPFC, you could see that FC Musa have really lost their form at the wrong time of the season. Musa had gone 9 games at Nakambala Stadium without dropping 3 points. This was the first defeat in 9 games when Zesco United went there and won them by 3-1. It would have been easily 3-0 or 4-0 because Zesco United were that good. And what Josh Blandamina did in that game is that he brought in a lot of energetic young players to try and match
the age of the opposing team.
All the teams that have done that this season against Musa have struggled. Remember at Koloma Stadium when the first Red Arrows did the same. They brought in young players to try and match the energy of Musa and they ended in a draw. Nkana likewise at Woodland Stadium. So you could see that slowly but surely people are now understanding what against FC Musa. And I think Musa coming into the game against Buffaloes 1 win in the last 6, and GBFC have been struggling. They have really been struggling. You expected them to kick on from one season what they
Augustin, did. When you talk about GBFC and them struggling, you should talk about what happened last week. It's just fair.
Yeah, GBFC went to
they went where?
In an empty stadium.
What if it was full?
He would have succumbed under the pressure.
One in Ghana.
GBFC, the last time they lost at Ghana Stadium was in 2019 when Idris Mbombo scored a brace. In the last 10 years or so, they've only lost twice at Ghana Stadium.
And we are talking about last week.
Yeah, I'm trying to build up.
No, let's just talk about last week. We are running out of time.
very, very instrumental. He scored the brace against Ghana, and they scored a very questionable penalty, which saw them to take the lead. But all in all, Ghana would take anything at this stage. And congratulations to Kalampa. We need Kalampa to survive, but it didn't take them to end.
By the way, it's the only
position.
team.
The position
It's the only team.
It's the only team that is scoring within 5 minutes consistently.
History is being made by Ghana, but
This season.
And it's the only team that has conceded 18 goals in the league this season.
Only 18.
18 goals.
We expected more. They are doing very fine. They are doing very fine.
And only scored 10 goals.
We are doing very
Very
fine.
fine, depending on scoring.
Without a striker, a proper striker.
But David Kawala, you are calling
The guy is leaving.
last
The guy is leaving.
What happened?
No, he has to leave. He has outlived this day.
We have just Trump. Anyway, some of the games that are making it, like today, there's Green Eagles hosting Prison Leopards, Kawe Warriors hosting Mutondo Stars, Kongola Blades hosting Mighty, Power Dynamos hosting Trident, Zesco hosting Forest Rangers. Due to time, those are some of the games that you have to
Green
look out.
Eagles. We need to talk about Green Eagles. Alex Namazava, he's done a fantastic thing for Green Eagles. To be honest. I was actually coming to that lad. That lad is a marvel to watch. Freddie Michael, yeah, he's sitting on 9 goals, but the energy that he puts in that team, I think Green Eagles is given a chance. That particular machinery and state-of-the-art team that Alex Namazawa is building, I think it will be a marvel to watch, because you can see how they are becoming consistent of late. And for them meeting Prison Leopards, the Prison Leopards, which was it's coming from a loss, and I think Lamek Banda will also be fearing for his job, because he has already lost 1 out of the 2 that he has managed, and I think he needs to up his game as he goes to that stadium where people and teams travel there and they come back with nothing, and I'm only hoping that he's able to pull up something to show for his credentials of leaving Lumwana Radiance and joining them. Yeah.
Augustine, your closing remarks.
I think a big thanks to the entire production team for making this possible, and a big thanks to all the viewers out there for tuning in and finding the time to interact with us. We always appreciate that, and would like to aid each and every one of you to trek to the nearest stadium and watch Bola Yapazeti. Let's go to Sunset Stadium and watch Elite Ladies versus Green Buffaloes. Thank you.
I'm Robson.
Well, Nkana has a game tomorrow, and you know, when you are coming from a very, very resounding victory, and it's always nice that Kansanshi Dynamos, I think it's a short trip from Nkana. They will be going to Nchanga Stadium to play Kansanshi Dynamos, and I think, like Augustine has said, these are closing remarks. So let's go and watch Nkana Football Club and Nchanga Stadium, and this afternoon, find your way to the nearest stadium. Let's support our local teams. And please, to those of you who like entering stadiums for free, please start paying so that we support these clubs to become better. Because
not anyone sending my phone calls.
Yeah, because this is exactly what Augustine was talking about. The Yellow Boys in Kitu have bought a big bus because of gate takings. So let's pay and watch these games.
And this is where we've come to the end of the show. On behalf of the whole entire production team, I've been your host, Amos, aka Amore. Stay glued for Amazing Katamanda is coming on your screens with the weekly gospel. For us, it's bye-bye. See you next week.